Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. To start things off, Grayscale Investments has committed to financially supporting the development of Ethereum Classic, the cryptocurrency, for another 2 years. Announced on Wednesday, the asset manager will continue to donate 1/3 of the management fees from its Grayscale Ethereum Classic Trust to the ETC cooperative each quarter through 2021. They said it's a big vote of confidence, which we deeply appreciate. This funding allows us to continue our support of the ETC protocol and ecosystem. This was said by ETC Cooperative Executive Director Bob Somerville in a private message. We will provide grants for key projects as we had through 2018 and 2019. Since 2017, Grayscale has donated a total of $1.1 million US, including $338,000 in 2019, to the Ethereum Classic people, which funds development of the protocol behind the 15th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. Grayscale manages some $80 million of assets in Ethereum Classic, while nearly 10 million shares are backed by about 0.92 Ethereum Classic each. The trust controls about 14% of the total supply of Ethereum Classic. Whoa. That I didn't know. Based on fund disclosures and data from ETC Block Explorer, the manager charges a fee of 3% under management. That is something that's brand new. For those of you, I mean, and I say this simply because I don't know if anyone is new here who doesn't know what Grayscale is. Grayscale is like a holding investment mega super corporation money company where pretty much people give them their cryptocurrencies to hold and store for them. The news that we had before many other times was that Grayscale is holding 1 to 2% of all the Bitcoin that exists right now. They are being held by Grayscale. The other interesting part is that they're holding 14% of the total supply of Ethereum Classic. That's a number that we've never gotten before, and I wonder how much they hold of the other coins. One can only assume if they've been holding Bitcoin since 2017. I assume they've been around since around 2016, which lets me know that they probably own an enormous amount of Bcash as well from the fork that happened. Anyway, the company is a subsidiary of the Digital Currency Group, which is also a parent of CoinDesk. Ethereum Classic was created in 2016 as a splinter currency from Ethereum. Some people would say the opposite. People say that Ethereum Classic is the original Ethereum, as it has the word classic, and Ethereum that we have right now was branched off from the original chain after the team leading development for the latter made a controversial decision to roll back a hacker's transactions. The most important part, without going into the history of what happened 4 years ago, is that Grayscale. So normally when we hear, and this is what I myself find fascinating about just even the beginning of this article, typically we hear a lot about it's either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP. We may get sprinkles of EOS, we may get sprinkles of Tron, but other coins, but we normally don't hear about Ethereum Classic as much. And before you start furiously typing in the comment section, I know you may have heard about it. I know you may have gone into their GitHub. I know you may have gone into their Reddit. I know people on Telegram might be talking about it, but in everyday crypto news, Ethereum Classic is very hard to find anything about it. I don't think I've said the words Ethereum Classic together. It's been at least 19 and a half years. It's been quite a while. The entire point being, the fact that the people from Grayscale, one of the, I guess, largest or most widely known crypto custody holding firms out there, is going to fund them for the next 2 years is actually, I want to use the words telltale for what could potentially be happening in the future. Once again, this is how I feel about this situation. I think that certain coins are more evident than others to make it. I believe myself that Bitcoin, the #1 coin, has a much higher chance of making it than Bcash or BSV. These are my personal feelings. Whenever we get news like this, or when a major corporation ends up backing something like this, it lets me know that they're not backing them. They're not giving these people free money for the next 2 years for no apparent reason. There has to be some sort of correlation between between Grayscale and Ethereum Classic, where either Grayscale is planning on building on top of Ethereum Classic. Maybe they see It's better for them in the long term to hold Ethereum Classic along with Ethereum to be able to make enough money. It's always something. It's always some type of, obviously, money thing that's happening behind the scenes. And I mention this because the timing of news is always just spectacular. Tying loosely into this right here, it says Litecoin's creator proposes a new foundation funding method. It says community still skeptical, but they write that all the time. No matter which coin it is, they always write community. It could just be like the world's community. They never really specify exactly what it's supposed to be. Litecoin's criticized, yada, 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 Bitcoin, Ethereum. Charlie Lee, creator of Litecoin, is the latest to join the fundraising bandwagon, with Lee releasing a series of tweets that propose another way for the foundation to generate funds. For those of you who don't know, last year we had news that the Ethereum Foundation, the Litecoin Foundation, everything has a foundation, was apparently close to being broke. People were like, no, that's a lie, that's FUD. We saw that there was an article, I believe the number was 70,000, that they only had $70,000 left to be able to fund the remainder of the Litecoin project. I think they were also trying to do some type of an upgrade on it, and they were asking the actual community for Litecoin. Can you send us Litecoin so that we can sell them, so that we can actually fund this thing? A project-based community crowdfunding system last year, an appeal through which the organization received 48 Litecoin for system development and maintenance. 48 Litecoin is not a lot. If you paid attention to how much money the people from EOS, I assume they still have at least over 3-point-something billion with a B. The people from Ethereum Classic are going to be funded for the next 2 years by the people from Grayscale. In a series, it says, in order to find a permanent solution for Litecoin's financial hurdles, Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin, has suggested that a part of the block rewards received by mining pools should be voluntarily deposited to fund development, he said. How about Litecoin pools donate 1%, 0.125 LTC of block rewards to the LTC Foundation? If every miner pool does this, it amounts to around $1.5 million donated per year. Lee further validated his proposal by stating that miners were making above 105% in terms of block rewards due to the merged mining of Dogecoin and other script coins. Hence, a mere release of 1% towards the development fund would only be a contribution towards public good at a small cost. It's a little weird, and I say it this way: Litecoin is a legacy coin. Litecoin is one of the oldest coins that we have out there. Not that it should be praised or worshipped or people should be kissing its digital behind, but it's more like a it's very odd. Remember last year when I went over I tried to be nice as I was going over it. Litecoin, in an effort to actually raise money for the foundation, they were selling cufflinks. And I think another one, they were selling buttons. And I was like, why can't you really get it together when it comes to like, I'm not walking down the street with a Litecoin button. Neither am I going to so many events that I need Litecoin cufflinks. I don't think why would I even want Litecoin cufflinks? I'm interested in the behind the scenes things. If Litecoin has been around for so long, and it doesn't even seem to really have to do with the entire decentralized nature of things. I mean, they were asking for money in general to help fund the project. So I don't know. It's a very odd situation that I think they find themselves in. I wonder if people will be like, okay, yeah, sure, well, let's give up some of our money so that we can fund the Litecoin Foundation. But then, what? I don't know. We know or have been told that there's supposed to be a number of proposals happening on Litecoin this year. Hopefully they end up coming true. I wonder why it's so difficult for the people from Litecoin to actually get these upgrades. I'm sure everyone has their own opinion. Not the upgrades themselves, but also like the funding. It's kind of weird, right? You would assume, or I would assume, that they'd have a bit more support behind the scenes. Because I think even the news that we had before was that Charlie Lee was also like helping to fund stuff himself. Like he was taking money out of his own pocket and like throwing it into the Litecoin Foundation. Anyway, Grayscale has decided to fund Ethereum Classic for 2 more years, while Litecoin is asking miners for 1% of their reward. I'm sure people, I don't know. The original idea behind Litecoin was that Litecoin was the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And then it was the use case for Litecoin was that Litecoin is the test net for Bitcoin. But Bitcoin also has tons of other test nets. It's usually like Litecoin is the finalized test net. So once something has been implemented, it can then be thrown onto Litecoin. And if it works on Litecoin, then it'll work on Bitcoin. But there are hundreds of other test nets that people are using to make sure that things are actually appropriate for Bitcoin. So I wonder, this wasn't meant to be doomy and gloomy, but it's, you get what I'm saying, right? It's kind of weird that no one is helping Litecoin, yet other projects are being funded out the wazoo. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, the Blockchain Association, an industry organization that represents some of the biggest names in crypto, today announced the launch of a new market integrity working group. The working group will be headed up by co-chairs Rachel Nelson, Senior Director and Associate General Counsel at Coinbase, and Brianne Madigan, the Head of Global Institutional Markets at Ripple. The goal of this group is to ensure transparency and fairness of cryptocurrency markets, according to the association's announcement. There's a little tweet right there. As the Blockchain Association itself notes, the cryptocurrency industry is still largely unregulated in the US. As a result, problems regarding market manipulation and false data are still prevalent, and this prevents digital assets from gaining legitimacy in the mainstream financial world. Last March, for example, cryptocurrency management firm Bitwise released a report that claimed 95% of Bitcoin trading volume across cryptocurrency exchanges was false. The reported volume of $6 billion is actually much closer to $273 million. According to Bitwise's research, a subsequent report by quantitative trading firm Alameda Research in September found that roughly 66% of all crypto trading volume is wash traded. And this is why, even just right here, this little paragraph, we've seen a huge jump by mega institutions trying to jump into the space, talking about that they would have proper metrics so that they would legitimize the cryptocurrency space. This is why New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, all the other names have jumped in. So that, remember when I said in 2018, I said I have a very strange feeling all the cryptocurrency exchanges we know right now are not long for this world. It's because a lot of the volume we saw before probably was faked, probably was not true. We had a lot of news before that people were selling massively on one website, and at the same exact time, someone also had a $30 million buy order, and it's like, wow, that's a bit too coordinated. So the point being is that heads from Ripple and Coinbase have seemingly joined hands as they go to skip down the road. This is also, I guess, another iteration, I kind of want to say, of the other thing that we saw. What was it? That like consortium of like, let's make crypto rules for ourselves and everyone else. I think it'll take about a good 5 decades at this point for cryptocurrencies to be regulated within the US. Not that these companies, mergers, associations are necessary, but it's kind of like, what else do we get? It's weird that every other country is releasing regulations except for the one that everyone's kind of waiting for. Even when it comes to like certain coins, like other countries have been like, well, these are commodities, these are securities, and we only know 2 coins in the US. Anyway, this was also some news that was floating around because the words Ripple and Coinbase were in the same sentence, and that turned a few heads. Let's move on. Here's an actual exciting one for me because I talk about this stuff all the time. The Taproot Schnorr proposal has been published as a series of Bitcoin improvement proposals, a symbolic milestone for the long-anticipated technological change. Taproot was first introduced by Bitcoin developer Greg Maxwell in January 2018 and formalized by another Bitcoin developer, I can never say this guy's name, Peter Wiley. And I heard his name once on the podcast and I was like, I'm going to remember that. 3 steps later, it was gone. Peter something. In May as a soft fork bundled with Schnorr. This is very important as well. A lot of people thought that a huge upgrade like this would have to be a hard fork, which would cause, of course, if this was a hard fork, you'd have a bundle of other people talking about, we don't like the changes, we're going to leave Bitcoin the way it is, and then we'd have Bitcoin Schnorr version, or without Schnorr, whatever kind of name that they decided to do. So the fact that it's a soft fork will mean that the implementation of this will be a lot easier on the network. As The Block previously reported, the proposed soft fork is expected to bring a much-needed privacy feature to the protocol by making all transactions, I repeat, by making all Bitcoin transactions, be it a simple payment between two parties, the opening of or closing of a Lightning channel, or a sophisticated smart contract, look the same to outside observers, meaning the transactions would be, in essence, private. Remember when I kept on saying that the discussion around dirty and clean Bitcoin is because people can tell how these transactions are taking place. The UTXO, the unspent transaction output, where it came from, where it went, who has it, and if it was on a blacklisted address, couldn't find the word. The project recently finished its developers' feedback phase on the 16th of January. Wiley opened a pull request for the Taproot Schnorr BIPs, describing the consensus rules and basic wallet operation for the proposal. On Thursday, Willie put out the latest update announcing that the proposed soft fork is now published as BIPs 340, 341, and 342. The BIPs themselves do not signify final approval, he emphasized, but merely show the authors of the project are now in general agreement with the community regarding the proposal's language. Pretty much meaning, before anything can happen on Bitcoin, as it is meant to be a hyper-decentralized network, someone can propose something and put it forward as a BIP, therefore 340, 341, 342, and the rest of the community has to go, I like it, it sounds good, and they put it out there in public so that other people can read it, can go through it. Does this have any problems? Does it have any bugs? Does it have any issues? Will this be implemented properly? Everyone looks, I think Bitcoin has several hundred active daily coders looking through the code at all times, not even joking, who are trying to make sure that the code is good. There are no faults. They go over it over and over and over just to make sure, because Bitcoin's far too valuable for anything to happen to it. The entire point being is that the thing that we heard about 2 years ago is apparently finished. It has been published, and I assume, I said before, I think it'll take 3 to 5 years to actually implement this. I hope that it happens sooner. I think that it won't. I still think that it won't happen until Bitcoin has passed by the $1 trillion market cap. When Bitcoin, and this isn't the only proposal for Bitcoin to have private transactions. That's the best part. There are at least 7 or 8 that I can remember. Taproot Schnorr being the more widely well-known ones. There have also been proposals for ZK Starks, Mimblewimble to be put on top of it as well. This is why we keep hearing the people from Coinbase talking about that they're testing Mimblewimble because they want to see if Mimblewimble can give them private transactions on top of the Litecoin blockchain, which would then allow for easy implementation, or we'd be able to say, we know that it works on Litecoin, therefore it works on Bitcoin. I am waiting for a future where Bitcoin transactions you can't tell what's going on. That's going to be very fascinating. But then it leads me to the exact same question. What will then happen to Dash and Zcash and Monero and all the other coins that are copies of the first 3 that I said, and where they will go? What happens when Bitcoin is the most used cryptocurrency and we have private transactions on it, and you can do whatever you want with it, and all the other coins that also have private transactions, they go, well, let's use that one. It has more liquidity. Anyway, I get more excited than I should over the idea of private transactions on Bitcoin. But here we are. This is the life that I live. Here's the actual proposal for it. It says Taproot privacy preserving switchable scripting. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, obviously, but exciting times ahead. In a sign of things to come, and I don't mean that jokingly, Malta-based sports blockchain venture Chiliz, I thought it was Chiliz at first, but I assume it's supposed to be Chiliz, is launching a cryptocurrency exchange for sports and entertainment tokens. In a press release shared with Cointelegraph on the 23rd, Chiliz detailed that the new exchange, Chiliz.net, that is CHILIZ.net, will roll out in February after the beginning of the fan token offerings for all the it says socios, SOCIOS.com, and I thought it said socios. Socios.com partner teams. Socios.com is a tokenized fan voting platform for sports powered by Chiliz tokens. For those of you who don't really get the gist of what I'm even reading, A couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago, there was some sports person, I think it was a basketball player. He, I think, has his contract tokenized, or something about him is tokenized. Last year, we saw a couple of football teams, that is football, not American football, teams like giving out like digital something when people were going to their events. There were a number of other sports teams who also tried to digitize like balls and bats and all this other stuff to give away to their fans. It is widely believed that in a world where everything, hold on, switching in the chair, in a world where everything is going to be digitized, of course we will have the digitization of sports teams and sports memorabilia, which is also expected to be a very big thing. For those of you who are not here during the madness of the crypto kitties phase, where people, and I think people still are, were buying images of digital cats, and then about 4 weeks later selling them for thousands of dollars, which was also a thing. I think the highest, did it sell for over $1 million? I think like it looked like a glitch cat or something like that. So it's the rarity of these items that's also expected to pick up. The other thing, it was Nike who was releasing a digital version of sneakers or something like that, and you'll be able to tell if the digital token you have is real, and there'll be like a digital scarcity of them, and so it's no surprise that we see something like this. And the really weird, you want to know the weirdest part, and this is not to give you FOMO and or BIMO, I don't think that's a thing. I was listening to, you know the words, a podcast, and they were saying how in the 90s, so many things came out that weren't collectibles, or that were collectibles. People just kind of bought them, threw them away. They got a little dusty, got rid of them. Not even Beanie Babies, but there's something around that same time that became incredibly valuable, and it's because people bought them. A lot of other people didn't buy them. They became incredibly scarce. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, people are now looking for these really weird old items. Who has this one item? Case in point, IKEA had they released some type of furniture. I think it was 1989 until like 1993. Terrible. Like, it just looked absolutely horrific. It had all the wrong colors. Like, each chair leg had a different color. Like, the top of it was like this really weird pastel red pink color. The place where you like lean your back against was, I think, green. Apparently no one bought them except for a very few amount of people. These are now in, like, people are trying to buy these to actually put these in museums because they're so difficult to find. No one has them. Who bought these things? So the entire, the idea was that they were saying, oh, my leg, crap. That they were talking about, what did I do? That they were talking about in the podcast was that people who, like I said, not trying to give FOMO or BIMO, people who are in possession of these crypto kitties that nobody wants right now, or these things that nobody wants, or one time in 2019 when that sports team decided to release a digital version of a football and a bat and a so-and-so, and you got a digital card of a rookie player. In 20 years, if everything is digital, if things are, digital collectibles are swapped back and forth, you will then own something incredibly valuable. So it's kind of like this, do I buy it and hold it as a just in case, or is it like you get what I'm saying? It's still fascinating to even think about. I mean, this also goes back into the discussion from yesterday and all the other times before about digital land. I remember talking to friends, and it's life. I was discussing with a friend, this was about a year or two ago, they were asking how to get into real estate, or, they didn't have much money, what to do. And I jokingly told them, I was like, yeah, you should buy some digital land. And they looked at me like I dare not even say it. But it was just really weird. Like, it's because earlier I had seen people, I had gone on Decentraland, and I had seen, like, you could see what a piece of land had been sold for initially, and then what it was being sold for 3, 4, 5 weeks later, and it was just these ridiculous prices. So it was the end. Anyway, Chili's Net will be fully integrated with Socios.com, enabling users to transfer their fan tokens from a Socios wallet to the exchange and vice versa. Chili's and Socios.com CEO Alexander Dreyfus claimed that Chili's.net will be the first crypto exchange that does not focus on traditional crypto products. I believe it. I haven't heard about this before, and I'm not reading all these teams over here Users will be able to trade fan tokens from professional soccer teams Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, Atletico de Madrid, AS Roma, Galatasaray, and West Ham United on the exchange. In March, the company plans to add support for OG Esports fan token, OG. If any of those names tickled your fancy in any sort of way, there you go. It is weird news. And it's even weirder to think about a world where everything is digital. I remember, I think I was going to download a song or something one day. I forgot how I was getting it. And my friend was like, don't you miss like holding your songs? And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, don't you miss like having a CD? And I was like, well, the CD didn't really have the songs. It was like, it was burned into the bottom of it. And then he was, I don't know. Why am I telling you all this stuff? I have no idea. I think it's because if you're alive now and you're listening to this, you've lived in a world where you were younger and I guess everything was physical. And the idea, like, can you imagine a world where everything is digital? Like where you don't really have to hold or touch anything, like you just buy it on the screen. And anyway, this is awkward. I'm gonna move on. And to kind of finish things off, I think it's because it's the beginning of the year, so everyone's talking about their stuff from the end of last year. Ripple is reporting an exponential rise in volume on its XRP-based remittance product known as on-demand liquidity, which was formerly known as XRapid. In its Q4 XRP markets report, Ripple says the amount of money flowing through on-demand liquidity increased by 550% in 2019. They said in 2019, dollar value transacted through ODL increased more than 100 times between Q1 and Q4, and specifically from Q3 to Q4 by 550%. The number of ODL transactions also increased by 390% from Q4 to 3 to 4, showcasing high customer demand for leveraging digital assets, specifically XRP and cross-border transactions. Ripple launched XRapid in October 2018 and renamed it in 2019 to ODL. Since then, 24 companies have signed up to use the platform, including MoneyGram, Golance, Via Americas, Flash FX, and Interbank. ODL is designed to give companies a legally compliant way to move money across borders instantaneously by utilizing cryptocurrency XRP. Like I said, I assume is the this is what had happened to us at the end of last year kind of news. We also had news about them not selling a lot of XRP and this so-and-so happening. I'm still waiting for my 24 banks at the end of 2019 announcement. I understand it's 24 companies. I got it. I was still waiting for the banks that we were promised or told about. I hope, or I assume, if we know or have rumors of Ripple potentially going public sometime this year, that we get at least, I want to say 5 more companies who are going to be using XRP. Who knows if we will get that news, but it seems likely. I mean, it's a pretty long year. I think every 2 months to have the name of another company using XRP should definitely be relatively plausible. Yeah. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Go away. Tigera Machonisa, Bake Me a Cake, Arfmedic17, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bodie McBoatface, Yes to Crypto, Miller Hitch Chest Every Day, and Kyle Keeps Skipping That Leg Day, Minting Coins, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Paxis, Cryptombeer Shipmate, Vlad the Impaler, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Damian, Nicholas from North One Piece One Love, Crypto Artist, Cody 3D, Mill, Wheezy, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe 242 to the world, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, Brady Niels, Master Ventures in Thailand, Moham Maroni, Adam Graysick, Todd Mullis, Bear Bones, Mining a Bibliophobia, The Animal Reader, John Sarson, Mr. Pickles, Nostromo, Chongololo, Songololo, and Professor Wally from Gunbot University. Thank you all very, very much for your support, and thank you for everyone out there who is a supporter of the channel by being a member. Crypto prices are up. They're not spectacularly up, but they're up enough that the entire top 13 is in the green. Bitcoin is currently a smidge away from being up by 1%. I still don't believe that those falls that we had about a day or two ago were organic, but it's just part of the cryptocurrency market. Everyone's trying to make a buck in some sort of way. The market looks okay. We'll see what happens by the end. I say by the end of the weekend. A lot of the news floating around right now is that prices were going to, which they did, slump during Chinese New Year. That people were simply selling off their coins to pay their taxes. Who knows, whatever news is really floating around out there, and therefore we would see a slump in the market. But once that was over and the prices were down again, that people would then rush back into the market to get at these newly low prices. No one knows. However, that is the news that was floating around, that apparently this dip that we saw was because of the anticipation of Chinese New Year. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. You know the drill. I'm off to the second channel. Gotta slow it down. I realize I am not Superman and I can't do everything as much as I would like to think so, but I'm doing stuff I haven't even told people about. Like my body's exhausted. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.